sin there is still salvation, but humans can't understand it.
Yeah, I kind of connected that like to my faith as well. I use like kind of the last line, I think it's 35 and 36. And when the time comes to let it go, to like, I connected this to my theme of like acceptance of life because it has like all kinds of hardships and it's difficult.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got from my theme.
Yeah.
I have like light at the, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, especially with the part that you said about the fires and the Black River loss. Basically the same thing you said, how even though there's pain and suffering that can happen, the fires in the Black River can always go run clear and always have a light at the end of the tunnel. So I felt like a lot of the language in here made me feel like a lot of this was spoken from the heart and like raw and stuff, with the look at the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars. Something about it just gave me that vibe in the last part, against, and then beginning of the last stanza, against your bones, knowing your life, to hold it against your bones and knowing that your life depends on it. That just like, I got goosebumps from that whole part. There's just something about it, I was just like, it just drew my attention to the very end, and I feel like it really wraps the whole thing together and actually brings it back to this motif.
So I agree with that, because I originally interpreted this as like kind of sad, because I thought that like in like the first stanza, like the trees are doing their own bodies in the pillars. Like I kind of thought that as like they were like dying, and like it talks about like cinnamon in the 7th line, and I feel like that's like, it reminds me of fall, and like in fall that's like when things like die and like get ready for winter and like they grow again in the spring. So I think that really connects to like what you said about like the like just things like passing on and like going through. And then like to connect it to the motif, like the solace of nature, like it brings you like joy because it talks about like the pillars of light, and like it just paints like a picture in your head that's like really nice to look at with like imagery and everything.
I feel like trees being pillars. I said like the 3 things that she says at the end to like live in this world is love, to love what is normal, to hold it against your bones, and when time comes to let it go, is like, those are like the pillars where like the trees kind of like symbolize like the pillars of that.
I love that, that's really
Good.
Going off of what Mallory said, like how you originally like analyzed it as sad, with the trees dying, I feel like it like kind of shows like how like trees dying and like the light can like show happiness. I feel like you can like kind of show how like people can change, and then like it kind of goes to the end, like how you have to let people go, like it just like shows change.
Kind of like how they let the leaves go in the winter.
Yeah.
Oh, with the imagery that you talked about, I felt the same way at the very beginning about, I'm like, oh, this is sad, like we're talking about things leaving and all this other stuff. And then I broke down each word, and the thing that really stood out for imagery, which was the olfactory, was the fragrance of cinnamon. And if you just take that out of there, if you think about that, it's like, it's what got me to it being soulless and stuff, is the warmth. Like cinnamon reminds me of baking and warm and love and homely, so that's what got me to like getting to the point of that. Because at first I thought it was sad too. I was like, oh, this is like dark and stuff, we're talking about winter, like it's just what we related to.
Yeah, I wrote down like almost the exact same thing. I had like 5 through 14. It's just some really like really powerful imagery, and it really shows like the beauty of nature and like how the poet like takes like comfort in it. Especially like the fragrance of cinnamon you mentioned. I thought that was a really good one.
How do you feel about the lines of the pawns in every pawn, no matter what it is, the name is nameless now?
I definitely feel like it means like no matter like what like you see, like nothing is as important as those who are close to you.
Yeah. Like for those ones, I was like really stuck on it. Like couldn't figure out like, cause I like it really stood out to me because of like kind of like repetition of like name and nameless. But then I kind of said like even if we give something a name, the only thing that matters in the world is like the 3 pillars at the end of the poem.
I feel like when I first read it, like I said, I thought it was kind of sad, and like it reminded me of death almost. I feel like every pawn, like in a pawn, I feel like you're being like a person, because it says like no matter what its name is nameless now. I thought that was like after you die, like even dead for a while, like everyone's just bones at the end of the day, like it's nameless now, like every pawn just looks the same. you guys think the fires in the Black River gas like symbolizes?
I think it's just like how like even though something something big can come through and just like wreck your whole world, and you could just like, because with a lot of times when I was heard fires, I was thinking like forest fires and stuff, like how it just comes through so quickly, wrecks the whole place, and just leaves you with nothing. But then it says salvation at the very end. So I felt like after this huge event that happens in your life, that just like it happens so quickly, you don't have time to think, you don't have time to like, and you feel like you're so like there's no way of building back from this. But it reminds you that even though like this happens, the forests always grow back stronger than ever. So it's just to remind you that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you can always come back better and stronger. And maybe this thing happening for a reason, and maybe you need that as a sign.
I feel like the Black River loss represented like some sort of like form of mortality or unknown, because like loss definitely like it's more of like an unknown like topic. Like we don't really know what happens. We don't really know what happens in the afterworld. So it's like more like an unknown, like mysterious like subject. But like it's also like representing mortality, like how you said like stuff grows back even bigger after like a fire. So it just kind of shows about mortality. It's just that.
Yeah, I really like that. And I also noticed, like, I would say somewhere around, it's in the fourth stanza, I kind of noticed like a tension, because it kind of goes from, like, just discussing, like, the beauty of nature, and then she kind of starts to get, like, deeper into, like, the loss and, like, what's after death and that kind of stuff. And, yeah, I certainly, I noticed that.
Yeah, going with that, I feel like the very beginning until that fourth stanza is really like it's just like superficial, and then you get to the Fawn's quote and nameless now. So I think that it's like that quote is there to remind you that even though there's superficial things happening, at the end of the day, the things that are superficial does not matter, because it's just all gonna be nameless. Like you're gonna think this means so much, and later in life you're gonna think to yourself like, maybe the trees like changing and like having to remember all these leaves. Maybe that doesn't matter at the end of the day. Maybe it's like, I feel like it just shifts, like you said, from less superficial to getting deeper into like what you said with these bigger events happening than just the things that happen every year.
I also noticed, like, she starts to repeat words, like, she repeats pawns twice, and then she repeats names twice, and same with Edward. And, that just kind of continues, and I think that really shows a completion and transition in the end, and kind of like the 3/4 that she makes.
Kind of going back to like the fires in like Black River was lost in Romans 22, verse 25, and how it talks about salvation there too. I don't know if this is like accurate, but I know like mythology, like the fires in the Black River, like in the underworld, and I thought that like that in comparison with salvation, because those are like really close, like in the stanzas. I thought that that could kind of like be like death, or like that feeling that you're so like, you know, like upset or something so terrible happens, and then salvation's like you know, it's like a good thing, like, and then like that comparison goes from like really bad to like good, and like you can see things start to get better, and I think you can see that through the poem.
So with this poem, I felt like the first poem and the third poem were the two that I had down packed, and then this one, I got to this one, I'm like, why is he just talking about what he's seeing? Like, I go, and then, you get down to that final stanza, and he kind of tells you why he describes everything, and it has all this imagery and all this simile and personification. And he, like, what I pulled out is, for oft when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon the inward eye, which is bliss of solitude. And I think this is just him saying that even though like all this stuff is happening around him, he'd rather just sit there and observe. Sometimes it's better to just sit there and observe and just be reflect and not really like have solitude in yourself, and maybe you don't always have to have you don't have to keep walking and keep like wandering, hoping there's like looking for something more. Sometimes it's better to sit and have solitude and take a peaceful time and just give yourself time to reflect on everything.
Yeah, that like peacefulness also like goes back to the first line, I wanted lonely as a cloud. Like that simile, like I feel like represents like isolation, and like peaceful drifting through time, like very lonely. Like kind of just shows like the poet or narrator's like crying stuff.
I kind of thought like a similar thing. I was thinking almost that like whenever he's describing all this imagery and stuff in the first like 3 stanzas, I almost thought that like, and then he gets into the last thing, I think he's almost talking of like whenever he's like born, he kind of like fades back to like times outside, like times in nature, and he kind of uses that as like comfort.
Yeah,
I think that kind of shows what this song is.
I think I kind of took it like a little bit more literally, like when like he's on his couch, like when he's like out in nature and like seeing all these daffodils and stuff, he's like more relaxed, and then like when he gets on his couch, he's like a little bit more like tense or like anxious, and like he just has to like think back, like they flash on that inward eye, and like I think that's like him like trying to like think of like the peacefulness.
I like what you said about like how it reminds me of peacefulness. 'Cause I think in like line 1 when he says like I wanted lonely as a cloud, it is like what Alana said, very like isolated. Like, you are like by yourself up there, and like I think that could be like being like upset or like just sad about something. And he goes on a walk, and then just sees like tens of thousands of golden daffodils, which I think like the golden also represent like happiness, because it's like it's bright, it's yellow, like it's getting like a nice picture in your head of like just these like really pretty flowers, and then he just walks down and like line 14 when he says like they outdid the sparkling waves in glee, because like they just make him like way happier, they just outshine like all the other nature there. And then like down in the last stanza when it says like how he's like on his couch, like again just like upset or not feeling the best, and in line 23 he says like, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Like I think that just shows like how when he's upset, like they just make him better, which goes back to the motif.
Yeah, I really like that. I also thought that like he really personifies like the daffodils and that kind of thing so much. It almost seems like he's talking about them like their friends. Like when all the friends I saw a crowd, I hosted golden daffodils, and then like at the end whenever he says, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils, like it's like he talks about them like they're like his friends or something.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. And it connects with all the imagery that he talks about in the first couple of stanzas.
Yeah, it definitely shows his loneliness too.
I like in line 7 when it says like continuous as the stars that shine. I think that shows like the stars, they're there for like hundreds of thousands of years, like they don't really go away easily. And in his mind, like that's why he sees the daffodils, they're just continuous. And like I like how that shows like that's kind of like a continuous source of like happiness for him always.
Why do you think he chose dancing in here? Because he says the daffodils are dancing. He says the stars are dancing, and the only thing then the waves wave. And I was trying to figure out why. Like if he chose dancing, because like I could see like showing the happiness, showing just like, but dancing. I feel like you could like I don't know what other word you choose, but I was trying to figure out why he chose that specifically.
I must think like whenever you see like like flowers or just plants in general, like in the garden, I must think about their dancing, like, just like this sort of background, like,
I feel like it's also like a better way to describe it, like along with the happiness aspect of it, other than like just saying the lonely. So I feel like it does like personify them more, and just like bring like a different feeling that they're like just I don't know, kind of like floating around. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, if you're trying to find like joy in nature, you won't really just say like, oh, I saw flowers blowing in the wind. You say like, oh, look, they were dancing. You know, like trying to find like that happiness aspect in it.
I I recognize like the rhyme of it, but like I don't know what it adds to it. Like that is like kind of like A B C C and then like D E D E F F.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
But like I noticed it, but I was like, what could that be? Like, you know, it's like,
Yeah, each stanza kind of ends with like a couplet.
Mhm.
Why do you guys think he chose to like refer to himself as, or just refer to a poet in line 15?
I think it just shows like, I feel like a lot of time you take poets as people who find like, who can look at something and find like all these crazy hidden meanings and stuff. And a lot of times they go to nature to look for that. So I think it's just like saying how a lot of times how he himself, a poet, would find nature calming and like just to show how like their love for nature and stuff. And just like show how it can keep them company. And how they, like, even with being alone, having that nature keeps them company and stuff, so.
yeah. I think I can kind of tell. Like I wrote my theme down as like the souls in nature can all take away like the sadness or stress away. So I think that can like tie into all of that.
Yeah, my theme was kind of similar. I thought it was almost like wherever you're learning, you know, like think back to like times of nature and like take comfort in it.
Yeah, my thing was kind of like that too. I also think that like, in line with when you talk about the waves, like if you think of waves like at the beach, like you're relaxed and like you're not really stressing out stuff. And like I feel like waves are just like happy too. Like they just make you like not upset.
So I kind of, I don't know this one. I like recognize the first one, like the first line of every stanza is kind of like repetition, but then like the repetition kind of changes. So like the
Yeah.
first half, or like the first two stanzas are about like the trees and like when they fall, like something happens, but then like it starts talking about the great souls. And I kind of said like when trees die, like human, like that's like a loss of like an oxygen source for people. So then like it shows that they're keeping us alive. So then when our loved one dies, it's like kind of like our source of like happiness sometimes. So then like we kind of like need them to be alive, but then they die. And then we feel like our lifelines are dying. I just kind of like this one.
I agree with that for sure.
Mhm.
I had how it's like an extended metaphor, but comparing these trees to these great souls and showing the impact. And I like where you're going with like the trees giving oxygen. It shows like how much you depend on this person, how much you feel, how much like deep you feel for this person, how it really truly messes with you after they pass, and how it's not just not just something that you take lightly, very lightly, as like it's you need air to breathe. You feel like you need this person to be here no matter what, and when they're gone, how do you react to that?
Yeah.
I also like what you said about like an extended metaphor. I kind of thought the first two stanzas, I kind of like feel like a metaphor. It's talking about like nature, like how whenever trees fall, like and even elements lumber for safety. When great trees fall and forests, small things are cruel and silence. I think that that's kind of like expanded on like throughout the rest of the poem. She kind of like explains her metaphor from those first two stanzas and then talking about when great souls die, like all the things that it like affects the people around.
That first, so I wrote down both of those two stanzas. The first stanza with having like first having rocks, which are strong, lions, which are what people find as the greatest predator, and like elephants, these strong animals, shows that like no matter what, having them react to this, like even elephants lumber after safety, shows like how no matter how strong you are, no matter how prepared you think you are for this passing of this person, or no matter how prepared you think it's still gonna affect you. Like it's no matter, everyone's affected in one way or another, and it doesn't show that you're not this strong person if you're affected by this death. It just shows that everyone's gonna be affected no matter what. And then that second stanza, the small things recoil into silence, their senses rooted beyond fear, shows like I feel like the road is beyond fear. It like gives that feeling of this like after a big impact. Like after someone dies, you feel just numb on the inside. You just like you don't. There's like when you first find out, you have that feeling of sadness, and then after a while, you just like start to feel numb, and you don't know what to do with yourself. You're just like I don't fear anything because what's the worst thing that can happen with this insane death in your family?
Yeah.
I really like the use of the word hereditary because it makes me think of like almost like you see like a stream and how like little parts of like the like size of the stream is like caved in. That's almost like kind of what it feels like. It's like it's just ending. It's like so like all your like preparations just gone.
Kind of going back to like what Marcy said earlier about like when great trees fall, like it takes away your source of oxygen. In line like 13 and 14, it says the air around us becomes light, rare, and sterile. And then in 15 we breathe briefly. We actually like I didn't think about it that way at first. Like it takes away an oxygen source, and I feel like that could also show that. It's like when great trees fall, and then that connects to like when great souls die. It's like you can change them, like interchangeable almost. And I think that can also show that.
Yeah, and then, like the last three lines-ish, like they existed. That repetition, like, it's kind of like the first poem, like, let it go, like, it's, like, again, like, they existed, like, we have to remember they existed, and that, like, we can be better when they existed. And I kind of, like, connected it to the motif that even though we lost something important, there's always more trees growing, like, there's always more things to, like, give us oxygen, so there's gonna be, like, more people or more, like, things to, like, fill our heart with after they existed, but we can still remember that they existed.
And then I, like, going back to what Mal said, about the third stanza, I'd say, around, like, where it says, our memory suddenly sharpens and gnaws on kind words unsaid. I feel like that, like, kind of shows a tone change where, like, they start to be, like, reflective and, like, thinking about, like, this great soul and, like, their life and, like, their impact on them.
So with both of those things that you guys brought up, our memory gnaws on kind words unsaid with the personification there and promise vows never taken. It kind of just shows how even like these memories can haunt you, and you're just like thinking about I told them this, I told them that, and I told them I would say this, and you're just thinking to yourself, and it just like beats you up on the inside of how I never got to do that and how I never did that, and you just it does like gnaw at you as a person. You're like it affects you a lot, and then they existed, we can be better for they existed. That like those words like ooh the anaphora there. I took it as the mind just reminding you that it's okay to move on. It's like it's not disrespectful to that person to move on. That person would want, like a lot of times people say, this person would want you to move on, would want you to go on and be happy and do better and be better because they were there. They want to see you succeed. Even it won't hurt them if you move on from them. So.
I really like that. And they were increased through lines. They existed, you can be better for them existing. I feel like that's almost like the main purpose of them. I really like that one.
I think those three lines like really connect to like I wrote down a theme of like the solace of nature shows that life moves on even when great things happen.
I like the little detail of it says in the second to last stanza, and when great souls die after a period, peace blooms slowly and always irregularly, spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. I think that just kind of shows how everyone heals at different speeds and at different times, and it's okay to like either heal faster or slower. Like it's just it's okay to take it slow with coming back and healing from this death, and just it will come back. It might take a while, but it will come back. Peace always blooms. So.
Yeah, I really like that. I think that was like almost like this last stanza is like this really big tone shift compared to the rest of the time. Kind of like it really does show like a period of peace blooms because she starts to talk about just like moving on, like regrowing almost, which kind of can connect back to that nature describing the first two.
Yeah, I was gonna like go back to that, they existed, we can be line. And I feel like it kinda shows like, how you guys said something about feeling. It like kinda shows like how death can impact us both like positively and negatively, like we can like learn from like our mistakes and their mistakes. But then like also like we have to like heal, like healing's not linear, you know, like you have like those like up and down moments, but we can grow and become better people from learning from like our mistakes that happened with that person, or like just learning from like what they did in their lifetime, you know?
The one, like the fifth stanza down, great souls die and our reality bound to them takes leave on us. And I think this just, I connected this to, after this death, everything will never be the same. You think that to yourself, this person, nothing's gonna be the same, which there's a hole there, things aren't gonna be the same, but some things, even though, bound to them takes a leave on us.
Alright, we'll do the same thing where we'll do the third home on Monday, which is meeting, hopefully, Maddie will be here, so with that, nice bonus from it. Can everybody drop their package in the bin, and give that group of stuff back their notes. Great job again, such a joy. You guys talking about these profound ideas. No, don't bother.
Yes, please.
Put your comments in